Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for those insights, Let's go. Moving on to our next speaker of the day. The next speaker is actually going to discuss digital transformations, that is transforming lives one smartphone at a time. I really, the topic that was a very catchy phrase for me. So let's see what Felix Mmene from Safaricom, who's Consumer Cluster Tribe Technical Lead, has to say about one smartphone at a time. Felix, over to you.
Thank you, Mohammed, and I hope you're doing well.
I'm well, thank you.
And
hope you're doing well.
Awesome. I'm doing all right too. Thanks a lot. And good afternoon to all of you. Yeah, thank you. And good afternoon, or is it morning or evening to some people? Glad to be here. I'm honored to be part of this discussion. It's very good because it means that we all are in this journey to be able to transform the way we do business in Africa and the way we are able to improve lives in all that we do. So I'll be beginning shortly to take you through the presentation. So as mentioned, name is Felix Mmene. I'm the consumer lead in Safaricom, Kenya. And I've been here for about 4 years. I'm representing my boss, George Njuguna, who's my CIO. He was supposed to be here, but he had traveled to some official engagement in Europe, and he does send his apologies, but he's well represented. So the topic at hand, like Mohammed mentioned, is basically how do we transform lives one smart at a time, and I'll delve through what we've done Safaricom in terms of trying to change the lives of our customers and being able to get them to join the digital transformation and to be able to be part of the discussions and part of the energy that is built around the digital world. So as I begin, I'll just take you through a few items about Safaricom. I know some of you might be having them, but just to quickly, in a few seconds, go through it. Safaricom is a $11 billion company. Currently, we are about 6,000 employees who are located in Kenya mostly, and about 38 million customer base that we serve. Safaricom does contribute about 6.5 to the Kenya's GDP. And right now, as I talk to you, I'm in the heart of Kenya, in Nairobi. So apart from that, we are very keen in delivering solutions, and not only in GSM, that is the usual mobile voice, data, and SMS. We're also in financial services. For example, M-Pesa is very big for us. And it has really changed how we do life in Kenya and how we transact across board. We are also venturing into healthcare, into agriculture, and many others. So in short, we're trying to touch the customer at all levels and walk the journey with them in whatever place they are. So, and above all is just to see how do we improve livelihoods, how do we transform lives, how do we ensure that every single customer that is out there gets value and are able to be in a better place as we proceed. So we have a rallying call that is backed in 3 areas, and that is across simple, transparency, and honesty. And our call to our customers is that we will be simple in how we communicate, in how we offer our products, in how we're able to engage with them. And apart from being simple, we'll be transparent. And transparency is basically how we deal with them. Whatever we do, it will be very clear and clean that we have their heart, we have their interest at heart. And above all, just to be honest with them in terms of how we deliver services, what we are giving them, and the value that they'll derive from it. So that is basically what Safaricom is all about. So in that regard, I'll be going through what we've done regarding being able to put smartphones in our customers' hands. If you think of it, if you're from Africa, you probably have been to the rural areas or probably to the low settlement areas, and you know how life there is. Many people in the rural areas, and you'll find this with your aunties and probably your uncles, they've barely touched a smartphone, or some of them actually don't even own a phone. they need to go and borrow from a neighbor or borrow from the nearest shopping center to be able to make a call. And those that have, you'll find, can only afford to have a feature phone, which will basically give them the basics of voice and SMS. And USSD, if they're doing some of those quick transactions, they don't have that luxury or that privilege of being able to have a smartphone. They only hear of WhatsApp and IG and Facebook in the streets or from their sons. And a good number of them, you'll find they rarely live where they stay in the village. They'll probably only come during an event, either a wedding or it could be a burial. Yeah. So as Safaricom, we sat down and we said, as much as we are growing as a company in the urban areas, we cannot leave our rural areas or those areas that are not really doing very well behind. We need to walk the journey with them. So we did come up with a proposal to be able to have an affordable device given to the people that they can be able to access, and not only access the smartphone, but also have it on 4G. Yeah. So that is what I talk about, transforming life digitally. So we have what we are calling lipa mdogo mdogo. In Swahili, lipa mdogo mdogo is a Swahili word that actually means you pay slowly. Because what we notice that our customers are probably very tight in terms of their budget, so they can't afford the upfront price of a smartphone, and they can't be able to also pay for a device and wait for it after make the payment. So they need to be able to pay slowly on the go. So lipa mdogo mdogo is a phrase that we used in Swahili just to ensure that we are able to talk to them and resonate with them. So I'll take you through what the challenges were that we saw within the market, the journey that we took to get to where we are, the position that we were able to craft for our customers. I'll also talk about the solutions that we developed and how the results look like in that area. So many of you will be aware of the challenges that are within our markets, and we are trying to really grow our 4G coverage within our markets. And it's not very possible given the results that we see. The first thing is that the consumer wallet is very, very small for a majority of our customers. You'll find that within most of the areas, most of the consumers within Africa earn below $1 per day. And that money, they have to use it to think about what to feed their families, how to pay the school fees for their children, and how to probably take care of things like healthcare. So how do we ensure that with their small wallet, that they're able to still access a device that can be able to give them access to the world? So that being a challenge, we had to see how do we navigate across the various challenges to ensure that that device is available. Number two, it was about literacy. Interestingly, 70% of developed countries own smartphone, 70% of the populations. In Africa, it's the opposite. 70% of Africans do not own smartphones. In Kenya, we are a bit, we are on a better side, because in Kenya, it's about 50% that do not have smartphones. But still, that is a staggering figure, considering that these are the people who are probably locked out from what is happening in the world. They only know the basics regarding what's happening, but when it comes to social media and getting informed, they're pretty behind. So it's an area that we need to cover. And then for like in Kenya, we have quite a big number of customers still on 2G, about 11 million that are on 2G. And definitely we are spending quite a bit as a company running the 2G network. So the point was, how do we now also bring these 2G customers to enjoy the benefits of being on 3G and 4G? In Kenya, as a background, we have about 25 million active users on our network. And we need to increase that base to about 35 to 38 million that we have as a base for our customers. So this is a challenge to us to see how we can get them there and begin having them enjoy the same value that most of the guys in the urban areas do experience. And then above all, it's just basically to accelerate the 4G discussion. I know we are getting to 5G, but I think if we can bring up across the whole base to 4G, then we're in a good place. Then 5G becomes the other big thing that we talk about. So these were the things that we looked at, and we thought, how do we bring along these 11 million customers to be able to experience what we have on on 4G. So we had tried this before. It has been a journey because for about 6-7 years, we had tried to find a way to be able to put that smart device into the customer's hand. So we had begun with something we called a smart loan, whereby we worked with a bank just to be able to issue out phones to the customers. It seemed promising at that point, but this didn't work out because we had a lot of bad debt. And so we had to retire that particular position, given that it didn't make business to us at that point. Then we still came back and we tried another option, which we call device lay-by. This is the equivalent to hire purchase, whereby we allow somebody to pay for a device slowly, and then over time, once the loan is cleared, we give them the device. This one too didn't take off very well because most people preferred when they do have a device or they're paying for a device, they can have it at hand. So having to pay and then get it later wasn't attractive enough. So that too, we had to retire. Then thirdly, we tried again, but this time we said, let's talk to the OEMs and come on board with the cheaper devices that are affordable. Then we'll have customers pay for them upfront and then they get connected. These two didn't seem to pick up because, again, like I said, these customers are the same ones who earn less than $1 per day. There's no way they'll be able to have the money to pay upfront. So that too didn't work. But we didn't give up because, like I say on the deck, we knew at some point we'll crack it. And we knew probably this fourth time we'll be lucky in terms of being able to get it right for our customers. And there is where we came up with the proposition on how to do it. And the first thing was to look at the customer benefits, because everything we do is centered on the customer. And if the customer cannot be able to appreciate or see the value in it, then it doesn't really matter. So the thing is, how do we get this affordable device to the customer? And what is the benefit for the customer? That was the first thing that we looked at. And then secondly, it was the value, because from our insight, we realized customers were saying, given the money I earn, I propose that if I can be allowed to get the device, be using it, get the value out of it, and pay for it slowly over a period of time, that works for us. So this made us go back and sit and see, how can we craft this in a way that we can be able to empower our customers to be able to access the device. But apart from that, we are also allowing them to make the payment from the comfort of their pocket. And then thirdly was to allow them an easy way of being able to opt into the service and to put the device. So what we did, given that a big number of these customers did not have smartphones, and a good number of them had feature phones, we allowed them to use SSD to be able to just opt into the service, pick the device they wanted from the menu, and then all they had to do from there is to go to the shop, pick the device, have it configured for them, and that was it. As simple as that. And given this insight, then it was a very easy proposal to be able to sell to the customers to be able to come and join us in being able to transform their lives on this journey. So I'll take us through how we are able to go around and make this possible. So the first thing we did was to have a discussion and a partnerships with a few OEMs. We began with Tele1, whereby we spoke to them on how to be able to build for us a smartphone that was 4G, but was affordable to our customers. Yeah, and then with that, we agreed with them that we'll build a kiosk app, because as part of being able to just keep us true and to be able to avoid the point of being able to get into bad debt, we're able to put in a kiosk app that would be able to allow the customers to be able to make their payments. And when they don't, then we put some levers in place for them to be able to make the payments. I'll touch about that in a few. Then we also brought on board Google, given that at that time, Google were working on a device locking mechanism that we thought would work very well for us. And we're able to work with them in terms of just ensuring that when a customer hasn't been able to pay or does go into default, we're able to lock the device, and when they make a payment, we unlock automatically without having to either make a call or go to a shop. And then we also got into partnership with Facebook, where they were able to sponsor a good number of customers on a program just to allow us to learn their patterns and to see how do we improve the product over time. Having done that, we also did go into how to make the payment more easier for the customers, given that these are customers that had never used passports before. So we made it very dynamic, whereby you can make a daily payment, you can make a weekly payment. We allowed them to even pay any amount from 1 shilling to whatever amount they could pay, or do a full payment. And once you chose a payment mode, we allow you to switch and use any of the above, meaning that the customer could pay from the comfort of their pocket, like I said before, and they could pay anytime. So, but just to ensure that we kept our customers true, and also to probably empathize with them, we gave them a 3-day grace period, meaning that you're meant to pay every day, but if you don't pay for 3 days, would allow you to use the phone for a while. And then on the 3rd day, if you don't make the payment, then would initiate the levers. And the levers were basically to lock the device. So we had an app that we call a kiosk app that just comes and takes over the UI of the phone. And once it does that, all you can do is basically make a payment. And apart from making a payment, you can be able to read your messages, but you can't initiate a message. You can't make a call, but you are able to just interact with the interface. But then also apart from that, it will give you information regarding your balance, how much you've paid, also a whole statement of how your payments are proceeding. And then we'll also lock the GSM services. That's basically the voice and the SMS and data. These are just levers to ensure that the customer would pay. But once they would pay the amount, then the kiosk app would lift. The device would be fully accessible. They could make their calls. They could be able to, use the device like any other person. And that was just a way of being able for us to manage the portfolio so that we win and the customer also does win at the same time, so that it's a joint venture with the customer. But also what we did also is to just incentivize the customer and ensure that for those who had or making payments consecutively, would reward them, and would do that by giving them YouTube bundles that they would enjoy to continue experiencing the digital the digital world. So having put this together, I must say this was a first of a kind that we worked on with Google, and it was more of a POC, and we had a very good collaboration with Google in terms of just being able to bring it to life. The logic of the solution was built internally by the team of developers that we have in the company. We leveraged more on microservices. We did work also on TIPCO ESB as a layer of orchestration. We went with open source in terms of database. So we worked with Postgres. We worked with Redis for caching, and all this was built on a container environment. Right now, we're working on how to now move all this to cloud, and that should be done in the very close future. And a very good thought is that we did this during the COVID period. We had teams sitting remotely in different areas, but we were able to collaborate across board to be able to bring this and make it work. So in a nutshell and a very high level, this is what we did. So the partnership was very, very important because we couldn't do it by ourselves. We had to bring them on board. We ensured that the payment modes were very flexible and easy, so that customers that we were dealing with were able to do it easily from their pocket. And then portfolio, just to ensure that we stayed true, that the customer won, and we also did at the same time, helped us to manage the loan and to also manage the bad debt. And then definitely just incentivizing the customers to ensure that at the end of the day, they also feel that they are valued for being able to partner with us. So, and this came with quite interesting results. Within that period, we've seen about 850,000 customers get to the program. And interestingly, 50 of this have already paid fully for their loan. And we are planning that by the time we get to March next year, we should have done about 1.6 million on this program. Apart from that, interestingly, these customers who had an ARPU of up to almost zero on data are giving us about $1.2 ARPU at the moment. And this is a good story for the company, and also it shows that they are also embracing the devices and are feeling quite happy being on that particular being on the digital space. Our plan was to grow the 4G our 4G offering. Initially, when we began about 2 years ago, 4G had only about 6 to 7 million customers. Right now, we're at 11.7. Definitely, we've been able to sell quite a bit more in the open market, but with this coming on board, there's been a lot of interest growing up within the rural areas to be able to get the devices. You'll find that some guys normally come, and what they decide to do, they decide to buy the phone fully instead of having to go through the program. But those who cannot afford it have been able to embrace and ensure that at least they're part of the discussion. Now they're able to experience Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. And interestingly, the biggest fear that most companies would have is that if you go in this kind of an arrangement, you might end up with bad debts. Our non-performing loans are below 10%, which is quite impressive. I think the world over, you'll find that the value normally ranges between 15 to 20%, but we've been able to keep the value below 10%, meaning that our customers are able to pay and able to meet their commitments. So this is just a simple way of how we can be able to empower our customers, those who can't be able to afford the devices. Yeah. And by doing that, you end up transforming them. And we have quite good stories that we've seen in the market where somebody tells you that to them, owning a smartphone was a dream. They had never thought that they would ever do it. But having joined the program, they're seeing the benefit of being able to be part of the digital space. Some of them are enjoying being on Viusasa. They enjoy being on our base platform. WhatsApp has become now a culture for them to be able to communicate with families who are in the urban areas and who are abroad. And this only began because we are able to put that smartphone in their phone. So that one smartphone that we are giving, and the 2 and the 3 and the many that we are doing, will help transform the lives of the many people out there who haven't been able to or cannot be able to access the phones. So this is a story of Lipa Mdogo Mdogo. We are still transitioning the program and improving it based on insights from the customers. And we are seeing a good traction and good people coming back. And we are seeing a lot of partnerships coming in from other OEMs. And very soon, the likes of Samsung and Nokia should be joining the program just to be able to expand that portfolio of our devices. And above all, our delight is that the customer that we serve is being transformed, and that they're part of the digital transformation that we are seeing across board. So that is what I had to come and showcase to the team. And wherever you come from, if you're in an area whereby you have people who are struggling one way or another to be part of the digital discussion, you have a chance right now in your small or big ways to be able to ensure that you can do something that will be able to transform them and also bring them aboard in terms of this journey that we are all moving towards improving lives as we proceed. So that is my submissions. And based on that, I want to thank the team for being able to give me this opportunity to be able to present. I hope you've been able to pick 1 or 2 things. I am always available to pick up and indulge a bit more in terms of this solution and how it has worked for us and how it can work out for you. Thank you.
Wow. Mr. Felix, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you very much for that very comprehensive analysis. Should we have any questions, we will take it via email and direct it to you so that you can answer them quite comfortably. But yeah, it was quite empowering to hear how, the owning of a device, it's a life changer. It really just introduces someone to a digital world that they otherwise do not have access to. But not just owning a smartphone, but also one that can, of course, access the 4G, which exposes them to a lot more than what a 2G can. So yeah, thank you very much, and we hope to see you in the future.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Next up, we are going to be talking about cyber resilience. This is quite an interesting topic to me, particularly because it speaks about private-public partnership, and how it shapes